Today I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story about a rock that changed my life. Now I know how silly that sounds to hear, but it's the truth. This rock helped me to see things differently and helped me to realize that the life that I was living was not the life I wanted to live, and has set me off on this wonderful path to redesign my life, to meet new people, to experience things, to study, to see the world differently, to actually learn to re-see how I see the world. And I'm going to be talking to you about this throughout all of my videos. I want you to take a moment to become present, because when you're present, you learn so much about yourself and the world around you. And I think presence has really become a luxury in this age. I'm going to be sharing some slides with you now about my journey and my story and why I'm redesigning my life and how you can redesign your life as well. How you can go from the life that you're currently living to the life that you want to live. So let's have a look. This is the rock that changed my life. This artwork is Relatum by the Korean artist Igu Fan. He's been working on this series of artworks for a very long time, and each one uses natural elements like rocks and chains and stones and places them into arrangements, into relationships with each other. And the interesting thing is that every time a person steps in front of this artwork, the person becomes a part of this relationship. The rocks never change, the chains never change, the light never changed, the metal, whatever other elements he's got in it never changed. But the relationships are always changing. And this is the artwork, this is the rock that I told you about, the one that changed my life. Because I realized when I saw this work that in all the relationships that I had in my life, I was always changing. I was always being different. Damien the husband, Damien the father, Damien the colleague, the friend. All of those relationships were different. I wasn't being consistent like the rock is. The rock is always the same in these relationships, in this artwork. But I was giving myself over to other people, to other aspects of those relationships, and they were changing me, and I was fine with that. But I realized that that meant that I was living other people's lives. I wasn't living my own life. Because at that time when I saw this artwork for the first time, I'd done everything that I was supposed to do. I had the house, the family, the job, all of those things that you're supposed to achieve in life, and yet I felt lost. I felt burnt out, I felt tired, I felt anxious, stress, all of these things that are very common ailments. They were plaguing me, and I didn't know why, because I'd done everything I was supposed to do. But seeing this artwork and realizing that the relationships were different, that I was different, was a real opening portion for me. It really opened my eyes to the what was possible if I became more consistent, if I became more present. Because I really was living the life that everyone else wanted me to live. And that's not a way to live. But I think that when I talked to people and when I began to study this, as I embarked on this journey to redesign my life, I realized that it's really common, sadly. Lots of people are living other people's lives. And what that means, if you're not living your own life, then you're not present. And presence is the key, I believe, to a lot of the problems in the world in terms of how we feel. The stress, the anxiety, the burnout. It comes down to the fact that we're not present in our own lives. We've given over control to other things. We want to be busy. We idolize busyness. We focus on things that don't matter. We focus on being people that we aren't. And that means that we're not present. You know, I conducted a social experiment as part of my research to redesign my life where I learned a different magic trick every week for a year. And I realized that the success of a magic trick is mainly based on people's inability to see. Even if a magician tells you what they're going to do and then does it, you're not going to see because you're not really present. You've even gone to a magic show and yet you still can't be bothered to be present to see the trick for what it truly is. We live life on autopilot. We give over control of our lives to these systems and processes and habits without even thinking. And that robs us of time. I mean, if you've ever found yourself saying, oh, the year's flying by or the week's flying by, that's because you're not present, you're not thinking, you're not aware. So when I decided to redesign my life, I decided to go on a new journey. I began to research. I interviewed people. I spoke to lots of really smart people. I took a good look at myself. I read a lot of books. And I also looked at what I do in my career. Because throughout my career, I've been transforming brands. I've been focusing on how I make people present in interactions with brands and with retailers. And I realized that a lot of those techniques that I'd learned doing that, combined with the techniques I learned through the magic, and particularly the techniques I learned through studying art and running an art gallery, allowed me to figure out ways that I could hack my brain, that I could make myself more present. And I designed 2 systems. One's called the Experience Arc and one's called the Experience Compass. And these are systems I'm going to share a lot more with you about over the course of my videos. But these systems allowed me to create a clear plan for how I wanted to redesign my life. And it came back to the idea that I needed to change my behavior. I needed to change the way I was living, where I wasn't questioning what I was doing. And through these systems, I began to instigate change in my life. I'm far from a finished product, and I don't think I ever will be. But already, having worked on this for more than a year, I've found myself taking great leaps forward in my presence, in the way that I connect, and in those relationships. I'm more myself now in all of these relationships. And it really comes down to understanding the concept of presence. How do you create who you are, and how do you learn to connect to the world? And the real key for presence is around learning how to see. And this is the main lesson for this video. If you take one thing away, I hope it's this. All our life, we're taught to look at the world. We're taught to look at art, to look at nature, but never to see it. Seeing means connecting, it means understanding. It doesn't necessarily mean liking or really having a great time or really deeply understanding what something's about, but it's seeing something for what it is, how it connects to you, what it can say to you. What does your lived history, what does your context mean in relation to what you're seeing? Because we're so busy, because we're so not present, we just look. But our eyes lie to us. And that's what a magician uses. That's what I was talking about before. You've got to learn to see. And that's the first thing I want you to be aware of. The first step in redesigning your life is learning how to see again. You'll be surprised with just that little mindset shift of how much more the world opens up. Because when we're busy, when we're not focused on anything else, and when we're not present, we really narrow our worldview down. We leave a tiny crack through which we can look out at the world. Now, of course we can't see. We're blindly racing forward. But we want to see. If we want to see, we have to learn how to retrain ourselves. And I'm going to be sharing that more with you as we go forward. How do you learn to re-see the world? I know this is just getting started, and this is the first video of hopefully many. But I want you to go away from this video today and just think about the world a little differently. Start to notice the patterns that you fall into every day without questioning. Start to notice the things that you've never seen before because you're so busy. Just learn to see a little bit more. Take the time to slow down. I hope you liked this video. I hope you've got something out of it. If you have, leave a comment down below. Tell me about your experience and I'll be sure to get back to you. Talk to you soon.